Hello, I'm back. Yes, I was muted. Okay, take two. Hello and welcome everyone to another PMsquare live stream. My name is Ryan Dolley. I'm the Vice President of Technology at PMsquare, and today's topic, we are going to be covering the Cognos Analytics Roadmap. I've got Chris McPherson joining from IBM to help us go over that. A lot of really cool stuff that we're going to be taking a look at. I'm going to be roping him in here in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, why don't we get some hellos out of the way? So Martin from Deutschland, hello, good to see you. Joel, as always. Prasad, nice to see you here again. One of the most fun things here is with these live streams is seeing the kind of the regulars, getting to know the regulars, you know, and so it's always cool to see the same people showing up. Robert, good to see you. Rick, as always, do I offer lip reading courses? I should. Yeah, that was a little goof there. My mistake. May the 4th be with you. It is Star Wars Day, isn't it? I think we had briefly discussed maybe doing some sort of Star Wars themed live stream, but I think we bailed on that pretty quick. All right. It's beautiful and sunny here. Yeah, it's so here in Detroit, it's not beautiful or sunny today. We did have a stretch of really good weather, and during that time, I actually put 2 beehives in on out on my property. So that was cool, but now it's back to being like 45 degrees and rainy, which is par for the course in spring in Michigan. So I'm not too put off by it. I see Martin expressing strong opinions on the Star Trek versus Star Wars controversy. I won't weigh in on that, other than to say this. Okay, so a couple things I want to share with everybody before we get rolling here. So the first one is going to be some upcoming events. So the first one I want to share on May 20th, we have a live stream coming up covering moving Cognos Analytics to Amazon Web Services. So we've done a lot of work here at PMsquare to enable you to move to Cognos to AWS, give you things like auto deployment, auto scaling, make upgrades and patching really easy. And we're going to be going over all of that, diving deep into it, show you how we did it, and provide all the answers you could ever want on moving Cognos to Amazon Web Services. I'll be joined by my colleague, Chris Chapman, who's our AWS architect for that. Should be a really good live stream. I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. The next thing I wanted to talk about was just the Cogbox. So I know a lot of you already know and have checked it out, but for those of you who haven't, we definitely want you looking at this. You're going to get a lot out of it. A lot of cool free stuff for Cognos. You just go to pmsquare.com/Cogbox in order to download the Cogbox and install it. It's an extension, easy to install, and we're coming out with new stuff for this all the time. So a couple live streams ago, if you were here, you saw I had Paul on. We unveiled the most recent release. We're working on another one, should come out in the next maybe 4 to 6 weeks. And when we have a firm date on that, of course, we'll schedule another live stream to share it with you. The last thing I wanted to talk about was a new campaign we're running we call Renew Plus. So I know a lot of you are aware of our Thrive product. For those of you who aren't, what Thrive is it's a custom extension, or not a custom extension. It's a piece of software that pulls data out of the content store and audit database and displays things to you like who's accessing what reports are most popular, who's building the most content in Cognos. Let's say you just rolled out dashboards and you don't want to know who's viewing the most dashboards. You want to know who's building the most dashboards. Thrive will tell you that. Proactive issue notification. If there's a report failing or a job failing, Thrive will email you to let you know, help you keep track of your licensing, all that kind of stuff. The Renew Plus campaign, what it does is if you renew your Cognos licensing with PMsquare, we offer you a huge discount to attach Thrive to it. So it's just a very low-cost, easy way to try out Thrive, to get a hold of Thrive and start using it in your environment just by pairing it with your Cognos renewal. So that's something I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of. It's a new program that we started offering. We've had a couple clients take advantage of it and have really liked it so far. So we wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that we were offering it. All right. So I guess the last thing, this is a YouTube live stream. So one thing I absolutely have to do is I have to remind you at this moment to please smash that like button and share with your friends, right? So it's right. We're on YouTube. That's what the YouTubers say. Smash the like button. So go ahead and click like. Help us get the word out about these live streams and help us grow the audience for what we're doing here at PMsquare. All right. With that said, all of that stuff out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and let's welcome today's guest. So let's pull in here. Make sure I get the right button. Mr. Chris McPherson. Let me resize you here. You're not, there we go. All right. Chris, welcome. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ryan.
All right. So, Chris, why don't you go ahead and give a little introduction to yourself?
Sure. So I'm the program director for offering product management for Cognos Analytics. So I lead a team of very talented product managers at IBM who are devoted to the Cognos Analytics product. I joined Cognos in 2005 and had a variety of technical roles in the support organization before moving to product management around 2008, which was just around the time we were acquired by IBM. And I've been working in product management with the Cognos product ever since. So delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, Chris. So a couple of things before we jump into the presentation. The first thing I'm curious is if you can give us a little context for what we're going to see today as far as, what are the driving motivations behind IBM's direction for the roadmap? What do they see in the marketplace and what are the things that they're reacting to?
So a great question. I think, if we go back a few years, it was all about, visualizations and who had the best or maybe the most visualizations available out of the box, who had the best dashboard. Those things are really becoming commodities. Every vendor out there, and it's a pretty crowded space. There are a lot of vendors in this market. Pretty well everyone has great visualizations. They've got great dashboarding capabilities. So what we're looking for is areas where we can really differentiate ourselves. And I think there are a couple of key areas where we can do that. And I'll get into some of the details as we get through the presentation. But I really see AI and building in those AI capabilities as an area where IBM can really kind of lead the way and differentiate it, especially with Cognos Analytics in that area. So if I had to pick one, that would definitely be the one I would choose.
Yeah, I see a lot of that too, and it is interesting with the Watson products that IBM has. It's an area that IBM's kind of long been acknowledged as a leader. And so is that, can we expect to see kind of more Watson style stuff coming to Cognos? That's a big part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I have a slide in the deck we're going to look at, but we do work very closely with the research team, and both on things where we've got to come to them with ideas that need to be fleshed out and so on, but also just keeping in close contact with that group so that when they do come up with these great ideas and innovations, we're best equipped to figure out the best way to expose that and build that into the capabilities of the product. So most definitely you'll start to see more and more of that kind of surface in the product. We have a couple of specific examples that we'll talk about in the next little while, but most definitely over coming months and so on, you'll start to see more and more of that.
Cool. Yeah, that's very exciting. The final question I'll ask you before we dive in, and I'm just going to head this one off at the pass because I know it's coming and it's coming, so we'll just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
When is Cognos 11.2 coming out?
Okay, so 11.2 is coming out later this month. I wish I could give you a specific day of the month today. I will have that day, I'm told, by Friday, but it is coming out later this month. We had planned to release it towards the end of April, and it just had a couple of last minute things come up that we needed to iron out. So really in the final stages. I know your team have done a terrific webinar already introducing it. We've done one as well. So yeah, it'll be out, I'm told, in the next couple of weeks.
Great. Okay. Yeah. If you're watching now and you missed that, the previous live stream we did was all about Cognos 11.2. We did a full walkthrough of the new user interface. And I think From my perspective, and I would, share this feedback with you, Chris, and you can pass it along to your team, that I think it's a great release. I'm going to encourage everybody to get on it as soon as they're able, because it really, a lot of the long-standing challenges that people have had with the user interface have been solved. I think it's a great combination of what was good about the Cognos 10 user interface and what was good about the 11.1 user interface kind of pulled together. And the more I use it, I have the preview version that I have access to. I mean, the more I use it, the more I like it, and that's usually a good sign, right? All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump in. So I'm going to go ahead and give you control of my screen here, Chris. You should be able to see that, and I'll pass over.
I do.
Mouse and keyboard. And while we're going through this, I want to encourage you to put your questions in the chat and in your reaction. So if you see something cool or you see something you want to know more about, put it in there, and Chris and I will try to keep this conversational as we go through. But we really need your feedback to make that happen. So love it or hate it, get your reactions into that chat. And with that, Chris, take it away.
Great. Thanks very much, Ryan.
Oh, 1 second. Sorry, give me control again.
Oh.
There we go. All right. It's all you.
Okay, great. Thanks. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining today. I'm very pleased to be here. We're going to, go through some slides, but really, I really am looking forward to the feedback and to the Q&A. I think, as Ryan said, he's going to be monitoring things as we go. So, if you see something that you're really interested in or you want to dig into, please do post a question, and he can interrupt me, and we'll dig into that. But wanted to start off with just a bit of an introduction around, and then talk a little bit about our strategy. I know we talked just a second ago about some things that are really kind of driving our direction, but just spend a little bit more time digging into that. Then we'll get into the roadmap, and then just close off with a summary and tackle any further questions that we don't get to through the presentation. So I just want to start a little bit with what our vision is. So, really to kind of sum it up, our vision is to become the AI co-pilot with an integrated, easy to manage and extensible platform powered by Cloud Pak for Data. And, to think about it more specifically, what that means, we want to be the co-pilot for business. We want to make our customers faster and smarter. We want to build features that make them more confident in the insights that they're seeing, and we want them to be able to see further. So this is really kind of our elevator pitch, our mission statement. We want to be our customers' co-pilot for business, make them faster and smarter, make them more confident in their decisions, and let them see further. So everything that we do is going to be built around those three statements. So how are we going to do that? We're going to do that through providing a kind of end-to-end experience with AI kind of woven into every element of the product. So, a single AI-driven platform that can handle any use case, whether it's a consumer, whether it's a business analyst, an author or developer, all the way to the data scientist. Providing these capabilities out of the box through things like our exploration capabilities, our dashboarding capabilities, the predictive capabilities that we have available in both dashboard and explore, report authoring for enterprise reporting, storytelling, and things like that. All of these things, we want to make them available in a single box, a single license, to be able to satisfy all these use cases. And then you can see on the slide here, we have a series of other complementary products in the data and AI portfolio that in some cases extend capabilities that we provide out of the box today, but also others like planning analytics is an example, where you really do have an integration, so that when you're ready to move from your budgeting and forecasting into measuring how your plan is working out, you have that easy handoff and that tight integration. So it's not just about having a single platform that will satisfy all these core use cases, but also having that ecosystem of complementary products that with the integration points that make sense, so that you can extend the out-of-the-box capabilities of Cognos Analytics. So just a recap of our latest in market product 11.17. I'm sure everyone on the call is familiar with that, but this was a great release for us. It was our 11.1 long-term support release. We introduced our new mobile app. We introduced a number of REST APIs, both for administering and managing the environment, but also for doing things like authoring dashboards, building and modifying data modules, and so on. And then, a couple of other key integration points like Watson Studio integration. So we now have like-for-like integration with Jupyter Notebooks and Watson Studio. So this was a really, really great release for us. And, we've really seen a lot of customer uptake on this release, because of the sheer number of features that we were able to get into it, but also because it's that long-term support release that I mentioned. Something else we've been working hard on is our integration with Cloud Pak for Data and making that a great deployment option for Cognos Analytics. And for anyone who is not familiar with Cloud Pak for Data, really think of it as the AI ladder in one platform. I think that sums it up really nicely. It's a single platform leveraging Red Hat OpenShift. You've got the benefits of containerization, and you've also got base services like Watson Studio, Watson Knowledge Catalog, et cetera. With good integration with Cognos Analytics, so that you can really take full advantage of that platform and the benefits that it offers. So I mentioned Watson Studio a few minutes ago. Like for like capabilities with our Jupyter Notebook integration, so that you really do. And I love this feature because of the whole data science capability that we've got in Cognos Analytics, because it really does provide that closed loop experience, so that whether it's the person just dragging and dropping to create data exploration, or building a dashboard, or it's a report author, or it's a data scientist, they're all using the same governed Cognos Analytics data source. The data scientist can use the same data source, do some data manipulation, build machine learning models, and then publish the output back into the Cognos environment with all of the security and governance in place. So you really do have everyone leveraging a single source of the truth, with this new capability. So super excited about this. Watson Knowledge Catalog is something else where, it's part of the Cloud Pak for Data ecosystem. So metadata governance and metadata management, being able to leverage and reuse data source connections. Coming soon, I'll talk about this in a minute, but coming soon, the ability to publish assets back into this central catalog so that they're available across the ecosystem.
Hey, Chris, a couple of questions about integration with Cloud Pak before
Sure.
we move on. So one would be, one of the big advantages of deploying Cognos on Cloud Pak is the containerization strategy and what that does for the platform. Can you give us any insight? I mean, is there a plan to be able to deploy Cognos on containers outside of Cloud Pak, maybe just on OpenShift or even on Docker?
Mm-hmm. So we really haven't had the Docker conversation yet. We are looking at making it available as a container on an OpenShift container. We haven't put any timelines around that yet, but that is a conversation that we're having around making it, because we certainly recognize that it's a journey, right? It's all about this modernization journey, going from on-prem to either cloud or to containerized platform, whether it's OpenShift, Cloud Pak for Data, or whatever else. So we see an opportunity of if we were able to have a containerized solution that ran natively on OpenShift. That's a nice stepping stone, and it's a nice step in the journey to getting the Cloud Pak for Data whenever the customer's ready. So definitely something we've been discussing. I just don't have a timeline today.
Likewise, let's say I'm a customer who I'm interested in Cloud Pak, but I already have a very large, traditional Cognos deployment. Things like Watson Knowledge Catalog and Watson Studio, do I have to have Cognos deployed on Cloud Pak in order to integrate those, or will I be able to do that integration even if my Cognos itself is not on Cloud Pak?
So we do support integration with both of those products outside of Cloud Pak for Data. We, out of the box today, on our cloud environment, we have access to Watson Studio. Our on-prem version has access to Watson Knowledge Catalog today to reuse things like data source connections and sign-ons. So we're going to continue to build out those capabilities in all of our deployment offerings. But Cloud Pak for Data just gives us, because everything is kind of embedded into a single platform, just gives us more opportunity to really push the boundaries of that integration. So you probably will see some integration points moving forward that don't make sense or are much harder to do on-prem or on cloud. But we do support them today, and we will continue to evolve those capabilities across the deployment options.
Gotcha. Okay. And one more thing. I'm curious if you could just talk for a minute about the Jupyter integration in particular, because this is something that I've talked to a lot of my clients about who maybe view this as just purely a data science component. And they say, well, we're the BI team. We don't do data science. But I'm wondering if you can share any anecdotes or use cases from your customers, particularly around things that you can do with Jupyter in addition to just pure statistics and data science. Like, for example, I'm very interested in using Jupyter for two things. One would be API connections that, prior to, what was it, 11.15 or 11.16, when we got the API connector, wasn't even an option. And the second is just basic data cleansing tasks that you can do in Jupyter that maybe go way above and beyond what you could do in Framework Manager and data modules. So do you have any customers who are doing those types of things, maybe using Jupyter not just for data science, but also for more basic data transformations and BI workflows?
Yeah, absolutely. And those are two use cases we see quite a bit. The response to that, data science has really been really been positive. Honestly, if I look back, say 2 years ago, or 2 years ago probably, data science almost never came up in conversation when you're talking BI. Right? It was all about reports and dashboards. That's really changed. Just about every conversation I have with customers around BI capabilities, data science, whether it's AI built in or integration with data science platforms, machine learning, that comes up all the time. So you're absolutely right. It's not just about pure statistical analysis and writing complicated data science machine learning algorithms. It's also about data preparation. Doing some very specific things that are much easier to do programmatically. So doing cleansing of the data and then pushing it back into the Cognos environment so that it can be used to very easily build dashboards and reports. That's kind of the beauty of the integration, that we've got that closed loop. You've got common security, common access across all of the roles. Another thing we see is people building very specific visualizations. I know, with our support for D3 and being able to embed custom visualizations, it's easier to do that now. But there are some use cases where you're talking about predictive analysis and things like that, where you've got a very specific requirement, and it's easy. You've got all these libraries available, open source libraries available, to your Jupyter notebook. Publish them, and then you don't need to know anything about data science to be able to leverage them. You're just publish. Drag your custom Jupyter widget onto your dashboard, select a notebook from within the Cognos environment, and then you can pick any output cell you want. So those are the use cases that I see most frequently. But certainly, those are kind of the more straightforward use cases. But the sky's the limit, because you really do have the full power of whatever you could do in a Jupyter Notebook or Watson Studio, and then just publish it back.
Yeah. And that's one of my favorite things about it is the decision that was made not to give it a Cognos reskin, right? But just to take Jupyter, the same Jupyter that everybody uses, and embed it in Cognos. I think was just so smart by you and the team. A couple questions from chat. So Martin Otto asks, will there be some kind of CP4D light version of Cognos?
So, strictly speaking, we do kind of have a CP4D Lite version in the box today. Cognos Dashboard Embedded is part of Watson Studio and Cloud Pak for Data today. It's so from within Watson Studio, that's how you visualize and create a dashboard using the output of your project in Cloud Pak for Data. We are looking to build that out. I know that we want it to be more heavily used, and we want it to provide more capability. So we are actively looking at the best way to do that right now. it's available. The entire product is available as a cartridge, as I'm sure most people on the call know. So you have the full Cognos product available, but yeah, we do want to strengthen the dashboarding capabilities that we provide kind of out of the box with the Cloud Pak for Data platform.
Gotcha. And the second question, maybe just a point of clarification. So when we're talking about Cloud Pak for Data, what exactly are we talking about? Is that the cloud version of Cognos, or is that something else?
So that's something else. So we've got, just as kind of maybe a refresher for everyone, we've got our on-prem version. That's where the majority of our customers are today. We've also got two IBM Cloud versions that run on SoftLayer on IBM Cloud. So we have a managed service where it's dedicated infrastructure, and we manage the environment, but the customer creates the content, and when they need an upgrade or a patch applied, they just simply request it and we do it. And then we have what we call Cognos Analytics on Demand. This is a multi-tenant cloud environment. So shared infrastructure, but a company can get started with as few as one user. So you can buy one user for $15 a month and start uploading data, connecting to your on-prem data sources, building dashboards, take advantage of our AI capabilities and so on. So those are the two cloud options we have today. Then we have Cloud Pak for Data, which runs on Red Hat OpenShift, and it's a bunch of Cloud Pak for Data is really a series of services that run on top of OpenShift, and then we have what we call cartridges that run on top of that. So Cognos Analytics has its own cartridge, just like DataStage has a cartridge, Watson Studio has a cartridge, but essentially it lets you deploy these products on a common platform leveraging common services. So that can be deployed anywhere. You can deploy Cloud Pak for Data with OpenShift on premise, on bare metal. You can deploy it on VMs in your private data center, or you can put it on any cloud. So you could deploy it to AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, wherever.
Gotcha. Okay, great. All right, I think so. Without further ado, let's move into the roadmap section here and start showing people the cool things you guys have in the labs.
Okay, great. So with any roadmap presentation, obviously the IBM disclaimer statement. So, just as a reminder to everyone, we're talking about things that are in the labs. These are things we're working on. There's no guarantee, around timing or things like that. Plans. It's software, so everyone knows that plans can change. But yeah, excited to talk to you a little bit about some things that we're thinking about and that we're working on. So the first thing, we have 11.2. We mentioned it a minute ago, coming out later this month. Just quick recap for anyone who didn't see the PMsquare webinar. Just to echo Ryan a little while ago, I would definitely check that out because it was terrific. But we've got some UX changes that are going to be, I think, really well received by those of us who are familiar with Cognos 10 and some of the other things. So really, really positive UI changes in terms of usability. Our mobile app that we recently launched, which is available on 11.17, but it'll be out of the box in 11.2. So that's great. Another thing I'm pretty excited about is we've extended our conversation assistant, our AI assistant, to support whole app sources. So those of you who are using Power Cubes or Planning Analytics Cubes or any cube can now start taking advantage of the natural language processing that we've got. Some great customization options, lots of performance improvements overall, and then some, the first sort of taste of some of the Watson technology that we're building in, that I talked a little bit about earlier. So in terms of, what we're planning to do, I said at the beginning, our vision is really to make our customers faster and smarter, make them more confident, let them see further. So all of the, as we're sitting down and thinking about what we want to accomplish in the coming 12 to 18 months, that's really driving everything that we do. So I have some slides to dig into a couple of these things in a little more detail, but you can see things like data stories. You're going to see a lot around improving our forecasting, building AI literally into every aspect of the product and the user experience. In terms of making customers more, more confident, leveraging some of the Watson NLP technology that the research lab are working on, making the assistant better and leveraging search and trying to kind of marry those two experiences together. And then, in helping our customers see further, we've got some specific things that we want to do around, enabling the line of business user and in the dashboard to expose some of these AI capabilities and make them more useful and make them more powerful. But then, of course, this tighter integration that I talked about with Watson Knowledge Catalog and some of the other cloud packed data-based services. So, getting into some of the specifics here, the first thing is really around embracing the whole conversational, AI and analytics experience. So the idea would be, really exposing the natural language search capabilities on the home screen. So, having, as soon as the user logs in, having the AI search and conversation capability right there front and center. Also having, the quick hits, what are the 5 things I need to know? So, having the AI engine in the background constantly looking at, here are the 5 things you need to know, and here are some of the other related insights that you may be interested in based on that. We envision having, easy access to the, recent visualizations that you've been looking at, your PIN library, so to speak, so that, things that you're accustomed to looking at, on a daily basis, have them right at your fingertips.
I just think that is so great. I mean, having a unified search and having that search on the home screen is such a small but crucial UX experience from my perspective, just so that no matter what I'm looking at in Cognos, I always go to the same place to ask Cognos questions using that NLP capability. I think that's great. Is the idea behind that it would be, I mean, are we truly unifying the search so that I have one place to type in where it might generate new data stories, but also surface existing content?
Correct. That's the vision. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very excited
And,
for that.
I mean, we've done a lot of, I'm sure as, folks on the phone who've been keeping up to date with the releases as we bring them forward have noticed that we've really improved the, accuracy and the capability of search over the past, couple of years. So we've made great strides there, and and then the AI assistant is evolving, and it's very valuable and useful as well. But we just found that you had to get into a dashboard, or you couldn't get it from the home screen unless you got into a dashboard. You might not even know it's there. So really marrying those two things together, because we want to do the best possible search and exploration experience, regardless of whether you're looking for existing assets or whether you're looking for an answer in the data that you've got access to. So it just seemed like a natural thing to kind of bring those two things together and just make them front and center, so that as soon as you hit the home screen, you've got that opportunity right there in front of you.
Great. Yeah, and a question from chat here related to the upcoming search capabilities. What is the kind of plans or timeline around the availability of search in English versus availability of search in other languages?
Great question. So I know for the AI assistant specifically, today it is English only. It's because of the NLP library that we're leveraging. We're moving away from that, and we're moving on to the Watson, one of the Watson NLP libraries, which does support multiple languages. I don't have a list of them in front of me, but definitely that's a requirement we hear a lot, and we are looking at doing that.
That's great. Cool. Thank you.
So something else we're working at, this is a very early prototype that we've got, you're seeing on the screen. Still needs our design folks to do their magic and make it super cool looking. But basically it's an extension of what you would, what we provided with the what if scenario modeling in 11.17. So with 11.17, you could basically do some, a line of business user could select a widget and do some use case modeling, changing things and thresholds and so on. This is really approaching it from a different angle. It's seeking starting with a target. So, the target in this particular case is I want to increase my sales by 15%. So what the product's doing is building a machine learning model in the background in order to identify what the key drivers are to hit that target, and what would need to happen to give you the best chance of reaching that target. So in this particular case, it's identified a couple of specific product lines that would need to increase by a certain amount in order to reach that target. And then you have the option to toggle things a little bit and adjust the various thresholds. But just again, coming back to exposing some of this the value that AI provides, and just making it accessible to the line of business user.
And so that's a type of thing that I think people might typically expect, or might seem sort of like more of a planning analytics capability. Can you touch at all on kind of the distinction between Cognos and planning analytics going forward, and what the plans are as far as further integration between the two?
Sure. I actually have a slide coming up that will be a great segue into that topic. So remind me about it,
Okay.
so I don't forget.
Sounds good.
But yeah, I got a slide coming up that is going to really, I think, tackle that topic head on.
Okay.
So the next thing is around data profiling and what we call semantic concepts. So data profiling is not something, it's not new. I mean, a lot of products out there have what they call data quality scores. So they'll do some analysis, they'll identify things like missing values, null values, mixed values in various columns and so on. What we're really talking about is analytic quality. So actually doing data sampling, analyzing the data and providing the user with an analytic quality score. Here's how successful you're going to be, with our AI capabilities, downstream when you get into doing data exploration. So identifying things that might limit your ability to leverage some of these capabilities, and I think more importantly, just providing a way forward, and providing some recommendations around corrective actions that you might take. On the right-hand side, what you see is just again an early design of what we could do around letting you train the AI engine in the background. So most companies have what I call a language of business. It might be that might be a vocabulary that they use, could be industry specific terms. Insurance, for an example, have specific terms that refer to different things. Retail, manufacturing, all these industries have terms and kind of a language of business that they use on a daily basis. I know at IBM, we there are a ton of, anyone who's worked for IBM would know we have a ton of acronyms that we use out there. So this would give you the ability to train the AI engine to recognize these terms and associate them with elements in your data, so that customers and users can be just sitting down asking questions of the product, just like they would be turning to their colleague in the cubicle next to them. And the product would understand them, understand what data elements are related to that, what the relationships are between these terms and various things and correlations, and just provide the best possible answer. So I'm pretty excited about this idea too, and really extending what we're able to do with the whole natural language processing element that we have. The next thing is embedding third-party content. So we certainly recognize that most of our customers, certainly all the large ones, have more than one BI tool. They might have, depending on the size of the company, they may have 7, 8, 9, but most have 2 or 3. So obviously, look, with the situation it is, with the pandemic that we're in, but just even from maintenance and governance point of view, many customers and many companies are looking to have some kind of standardization. Maybe it's going from 6 to 3, or from 8 to 4, or something like that. But there's a desire to standardize, both from a license, license cost, maintenance cost, and just the IT investment required to keep all of these things going. So, our idea is that if we can let you leverage, or let our customers leverage content that they may particularly like, that they authored in, I don't know, Power BI or Tableau, and be able to leverage that in a Cognos dashboard, you are able to leverage that investment. You're able to reuse it, reuse content that you've already built. You've got a familiar visualization or experience that customers have become used to, or users have become used to. But you also then get a degree of governance and control that maybe wasn't there in one of these other tools. So, we see this as a great opportunity for us to be maybe the binding agent for having multiple tools in an environment, because I think that's going to be the case for the foreseeable future. When I'm talking to customers, I'm not hearing very many who are just saying, okay, I'm going with this one vendor and that's it.
Yeah.
So I think having multiple tools at play are going to be a reality for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, in our customer base, you just don't see a ton of we're kicking all 8 of the other ones out and just standardizing down on one, right? That's not something people are doing. I am curious.
Yeah.
So if you do import something from Tableau, I mean, is the idea then that it would be able to like interact with the other widgets in the dashboard? If I were to have a filter in Cognos, would it be possible for it to pass that filter value into the Tableau visualization?
Certainly, that would be the vision. It's going to be people, way smarter than me figuring out how to make that work.
Sure.
Yeah, that would, ideally that would be the. I mean, I guess it depends on the, the data source. It depends on lots of things, how easy that'll be to do. But most definitely, we would love to have that experience.
We have a question too. Some positive feedback on what they're seeing here. Then the following question is, well, would it be possible to import third-party data objects like a Power BI or Tableau model? Is that something you're considering at all?
That may be something that we look at downstream. To your point earlier a minute ago, Ryan, even when I'm talking to customers who've decided, okay, this is going to be our direction moving forward, everything from here on in is going to be this vendor. They're not talking about rewriting everything they've already got. They're talking about keeping it around, but anything new, that's going to be their standard moving forward. So, I think we would definitely love to get to a point where we can do that. I think the highest priority right now, certainly from the use cases that we've been looking at, is just leveraging the content that's going to, has all of the business users and the consumers looking at it day in and day out.
Very cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see this in action. It's kind of a mind-blowing feature you've got here.
So the next thing is integration with Watson Assistant. So I talked a little bit about the conversation assistant, our natural language processing, and some of the plans we have there. Something else that we want to do is this was always designed to be extensible. So, and I mean that in two different ways. So the first was what we just talked about, were the semantic concepts, where you could train the conversation assistant to be able to understand common terms that you use in your organization and relate them to elements in your data and so on. So that's one aspect of extensibility that this was designed for. The second is it was designed to be able to connect to various other services to answer questions that maybe are not related to specifically to your data. So in this case that you're looking at on the screen, customer starts by, show sales by year. This is in my data. I'm generating visualizations. I'm dragging them onto my canvas. They then start asking about COVID-19. Well, Cognos Analytics doesn't know anything about COVID-19. You're looking at a sales and marketing data set. There's no COVID-19 information in there, but we do have access to a Watson Health API and Watson Health service that does know about this. And what the product will do is it'll just pull the available Watson services that you have configured, and then the service that's best equipped to provide the answer, the most accurate answer, will send it back, and it'll be displayed right inside the conversation assistant. So the beauty about this is that for organizations who have these services available, the user doesn't need to know anything about them. They just start asking questions, and the questions that Cognos Analytics can answer about the data, we will. And for these other questions, we just pull the available services to find the one that can provide the best answer. So the next item is around seamless transition from what if to what's next. So this comes back to that what if scenario modeling that I mentioned earlier that we introduced in 11.17. So a user able to simply do some scenario modeling by dragging a custom widget onto their canvas, and then select the items, the categories, and the measures that they want to look at, and do some planning like that. So to come back to your question earlier, Ryan, this isn't about replacing planning analytics or anything like that. When we think about some of the capabilities that we have in the dashboard, today and in previous releases, the forecasting that we provide out of the box, that's not meant to replace a data scientist using Watson Studio or Jupyter Notebook to do sort of heavy duty predictive forecasting. That's meant to give you a statistically accurate forecast for a business user to use as a starting point, and then hand off to an expert when it gets to a point that makes sense. Same thing here. So the ability to have scenario modeling in the dashboard, keep a couple of those scenarios, but whenever the business user sort of has that aha moment and feels like they're onto something, that we need to do some more digging into this, we need to build this out, operationalize it, have that warm handoff where you can publish the result to planning analytics and use it as a starting point for building out a real planning application by an expert who does that all day. So that's really that's really what we're talking about with this. So I think it's important to have that warm handoff where the line of business user can do some scenario modeling for themselves when they feel like, okay, this needs to go to the next level. You've got that warm handoff, you've got that starting point that a planning analytics expert can use to build that out. So that's just one of the sort of integration areas that we're working towards with planning analytics. Just even in the past several months, well, certainly not in the past 12 months, there's been a lot of work done around standardizing some common components between Cognos Analytics and planning. You'll have noticed, anyone who's a planning analytics user will have noticed they've got a common dashboard now. So if you're in planning analytics workspace, you've got all of the visualizations that you have available in Cognos Analytics. You've got the same portal that we have in planning, or in Cognos Analytics rather. So we're moving towards both products leveraging common infrastructure to really set ourselves up to have that really tight integration that we all want. So so there's been a lot of progress in the last 12 months, and you're going to continue to see progress in this area moving forward.
Is there a future where they kind of truly share a portal, or are even in some respect the same product?
So I think we're a ways away from having a single product that does everything, because while we do have a lot of common customers, a lot of planning customers use Cognos, a lot of Cognos customers use planning. There's a really strong synergy there. But at the end of the day, I think the customer that goes into planning analytics is probably going to do core planning activities. That's really where the strength is. Likewise, on the Cognos side, it's about doing analysis and building out reports and data exploration. So certainly I can see a time where we get to a point where if you own both products, you have install both of them together or use them in the cloud. You've got a single portal, and if you want to do planning, you go this. We route you this way. If you want to do analysis and reporting, you end up going that way. I can certainly see that. I think if you're talking about having a single kind of product on-prem, at least, where you've got one installer with everything across the board in both products, I think we're a ways away from that. And I talked a little bit earlier about some tighter Watson Knowledge Catalog integration. We certainly see an opportunity there, especially in the Cloud Pak for Data platform, where you've got this ecosystem of products, and they're all need to be able to access assets and metadata, dashboards, reports from a central location. Having a common business vocabulary across the ecosystem is something another great strength of Watson Knowledge Catalog that it provides. So we're going to be continuing to build out the integration points with Watson Knowledge Catalog. As I said earlier, we're going to be looking to strengthen that story in all of our deployment options, but you will, just because of how easy it is to take maximum advantage of that on Cloud Pak for Data, you probably will see some things that are Cloud Pak for Data only with WKC. And also tighter integration with the other, well, I mentioned Cloud Pak for Data, but of course planning analytics. I guess I got a little ahead of myself in the previous slide, but we definitely are looking at how we best enable the experience for both products, because we do, as I said earlier, we do have a lot of customers who use both, and we want it to be a seamless transition, so that when you are done building your forecast or your budgeting application for the year, you can easily track it and be able to and to leverage AI to do some of that. If we've got your planning analytics application, we already know the kind of measures that you're looking at. We know the KPIs that you're interested in. It should be much easier to build out dashboards and reports in Cognos Analytics when we already know all of that. And that was a kind of a flyover of some of the highlights that we're working on in the lab. Lots more going on, but a few other things that we're working on are improving our forecasting. We've had some terrific response to the forecasting that we provided in, I think it was 11.1.4, and building out that capability, collaborative authoring, just allowing multiple people to work together on solving a business problem and building out assets. And then leveraging some of these other Watson technology enhancements that I mentioned at the beginning. One one obvious one is the Watson Auto Translation. So the Watson Translation Service does a terrific job of translating things in real time. So allowing the user to be able to author content in any language they want, and then have their consumer be able to see it and consume it in any language they want. I think that's a really powerful opportunity that we have in front of us. So yeah, I guess just maybe, I know we're getting towards the end, maybe just to summarize, all of these things that we're talking about doing is really about being the co-pilot for business. We want to be your AI co-pilot. And the way we see ourselves doing that is providing a trusted data and AI platform that can deliver these capabilities at any scale, and that can integrate with some of the other complementary products that will really just maximize the value you get from the platform. And then lastly, it all everything you need all in one place. I think that's been a competitive differentiator for us for some time. I mentioned at the beginning, whether you're a consumer, whether you want to do data exploration, build dashboards, report authoring, all the way to the data scientist, we have a single platform that has all these capabilities available out of the box. Nothing else to buy, nothing else to plug in. It's just there. And I think that's it, right?
All right.
This was my, if I could leave any, kind of one tagline for everyone to come away with, it's that we want to be your AI co-pilot for business.
Cool. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, that was very, very exciting stuff that we saw there. So I think this is the point in today's presentation where your questions, like what is going to happen to Event Studio and that sort of thing, this is your opportunity to get those answered. So, so get those into the chat now. I'm looking for your feedback on what you saw, what was good, and then questions like, well, what about this? I can think of some off the top of my head, Chris, that I can feed you while people are
sure, if you want
getting
to
their questions in. But we got a couple. So one, with Watson Auto Translation, is that going to be able to translate the actual data? If I'm in Go Sales and I've got the product lines, is it going to be able to translate the names of the product lines, or is it just for kind of the objects, the kind of metadata that's visible on the dashboard?
So honestly, I haven't, that's one of those, ideas that the development teams have been talking about, the possibilities. I haven't been all that close to I haven't seen a prototype. So I'm imagining that it would translate everything you see on the screen. So any text that it sees on the screen, it would try to translate into the language of your choosing. That would be my assumption. But I don't know that. To be honest, I don't know that for sure.
Great. And then we have another question just around like the ability to support or embed Cognos dashboards into external sites and applications. Any changes there? Are we going to get an API that allows us to do it or anything like that?
Well, so we do have the ability to do that today. For any dashboard or report in the Cognos environment, if you go to in the portal, if you go to the context menu, you can select share, and one of the options is to either embed it as a parameterized link that you can customize to provide different values and so on, or an iframe. So those two things are there today. They get used pretty extensively. We did provide an API for being able to build, modify, and update dashboards with 11.17. So that's an option there as well. There's most definitely more we can do to do that, but I'd be interested in hearing a use case. Actually, we just had some terrific news from Ventana just earlier in April. They did a report around embeddable analytics and some of the leading players, and we had they really like what we're doing in that space. So we had some really nice positive reinforcement from the folks at Ventana on that.
Yeah, I see a follow-up question from Prasad about, the auto translate and what languages might be included. Prasad, I can tell you, I was a while ago shown a demo of the auto translate in dashboards, and your specific question about translation Arabic is what they showed me. So as of, that was a while ago. As of then, that was part of the Watson auto translate that they were working on. A couple questions about, and we always know that we're going to get these questions, so let's just go through them. Okay, so 2 about Event Studio, right? Is there going to be a new Event Studio, at some point? What are the plans around Event Studio?
So the plans around Event Studio are really to take the capabilities that you've got there and surface them, kind of in context wherever you are. So in other words, instead of having a separate studio to go to, build together jobs, to run reports, or, refresh files, data files, or, metadata, and then run my reports and then send them to somewhere else, really surfacing those capabilities right in kind of at the moment of truth, if you will. So that's the strategy and the vision for those capabilities. It's not to it's really to just make them available everywhere versus having a separate studio to go to. I can tell you in the near term, we are going to be doing some browser conformance work on Event Studio. I know that support for Chrome is on the list for the release after 11.2.0. So it might actually, yeah, I'd have to double check. It most definitely is on the list for 11.2.1. It might actually even be in the box in 11.2. I'd need to double check that. But, Event Studio is going to be supported for the foreseeable future. So, but our longer term vision is to surface those capabilities, kind of where they belong, which is right inside the other user experiences in Cognos.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And you do have a little bit of that today in the mobile application where you can set thresholds in the mobile app and it will notify
Yeah.
you on the phone. So it's not integrated into the web interface, but if you're interested in seeing what this might look like, I would suggest that you look at the mobile app and get a feel for what might be possible.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. And that's a terrific example, Ryan, of just what we want to do.
All right, so follow up, same questions, but related to Framework Manager and Transformer. So what are the plans around Framework Manager and Transformer going forward?
Okay, so let's start with the easy one, Transformer. So Transformer is still supported. We still have a ton of customers out there using PowerPlay cubes. It's a very mature product. We haven't really made any enhancements to it recently. We don't have any plans to enhance PowerPlay Transformer. It does, what it does very well. It's going to be it's going to be supported for the foreseeable future. We haven't announced a specific date. I think there's an RFA out there that says sometime in 2023, would be end of support, but that's just a process thing that we need to do. We have to have something, for a product that hasn't been enhanced, we have to have something out there. So it may well be supported beyond that. So we don't have any plans to enhance Transformer, but at the same time, we don't have any immediate term plans to stop supporting it either. As for Framework Manager, still 100% supported today. It'll be supported in 11.2, and I'm sure 11.2.1 and beyond as well. We are though encouraging users to adopt data modules. And I know, Ryan and the PMsquare team have done a number of webinars on how to take maximum advantage of data modules. And that's great because, I really feel like, our investment is going to go there, and that's where customers should be looking, at doing anything new. They should be looking to do them in data modules unless there's a, good reason not to. There are still a handful of gaps between Framework Manager and data modules. Thankfully the list is getting shorter, and with every release we're getting more and more into data modules, so that list is getting smaller, but there are still a handful of things that you can't do in data modules today. We are because of our IBM strategy and Cognos strategy to really take advantage of what the cloud offers, and encouraging our customers to modernize with us to cloud or Cloud Pak for Data. Web-based modeling really makes the most sense for us. So that's where our investment is going. But we know that we need to have feature parity between modules and Framework Manager. So in the coming year, we're going to be, doing some work to try to close off those remaining gaps between Framework Manager and data modules.
Awesome. Yeah. We would really echo that. I mean, I always tell people, build a data module unless you can't. Right? If it's a new use case, build a data module unless you can't. And in the time I've been saying that, when I first started saying that, the list of unless you can't was frankly pretty big, but it's gone down substantially since then. We have another question here just about visualization. So this is maybe a two-parter, but it's related, I think, to at the core of it, it's related to control over what happens in dashboards. So visualizations, just a perpetual request for more properties, more control, more visualizations themselves. I will put in a little plug here. I mean, this is something that we've at PMsquare, we've seen a ton of interest lately in our ability to create custom visualizations for customers. So we've made really slick Gantt charts for customers, project planning visualizations, waterfall charts. We're working with a customer right now on a crosstab that will go into dashboards that really has more of the look and feel of PowerPlay, frankly, but is available in dashboards. So, it's not like, I mean, luckily, because of the way Cognos is extensible with visualization libraries, you can put any visualization you want in it. But the out-of-the-box visualizations, more properties, more visualizations, and then I'm going to tack onto that a question. Some time ago, I can remember the very last conference I went to was Data and AI Forum in Miami, and Rachel was showing some new prompt objects that were going to be available in reports and dashboards. And I haven't heard much about them since then. So I'm going to lump these two together into a, just visualization direction, plan to give us more control over visualizations, more visualizations themselves, and then also more, what is the plan around those prompt objects, and are we going to see those surface anytime soon?
Okay, so starting with the visualization topic, with every release, we try to increase the number of visualizations we provide out of the box. 11.2 is no different. There's, we're introducing, I think, boxplot and radar, I think, are the two that, we have out of the box in 11.2. So we're going to continue to increase that number. But, honestly, until about a year ago, Ryan, we used to hear, constantly, what about this visualization? When am I going to see this visualization? Now that we've got that support for custom visualizations, that whole conversation is really kind of, quieted down a little bit. There are still, requests for specific things that we need to do. We'll continue to do that. But now customers have the flexibility to, engage a partner like PMsquare or, or for that matter, even, leverage an open source library and, do some customization themselves and then, add it to their Cognos library. Having said that, we definitely do want to continue to increase the number of properties that we support in the dashboard, and I think that's probably where our focus is going to be. I think we have a pretty solid library of visualizations today. I'm thinking it's probably in the neighborhood of 30. I'm embarrassed to say I don't know off the top of my head, but it's got to be, it's in the neighborhood of 30. And covering a pretty wide range of experiences. So I think our focus really for the next little while is going to be exposing more, giving customers more flexibility and more control over the visualizations that we've got there, because I think we've got a pretty solid library there today. As far as the prompting topic, we most definitely do recognize that we need, well, there's a couple of things we need to do. Number one, we need to provide more powerful prompting and more flexible prompting in dashboards. That's something we hear all the time. Likewise, we need to modernize the prompting that we have in reporting today, because it is very powerful, and there's just, you can do just about anything, but we do need to modernize that just to get a degree of consistency across the look and feel, the user experience in dashboarding and reporting. So our focus really on the topic of prompting is, designing and coming up with a set of prompts that we can implement across the product between data modules, dashboarding, and reporting that provide a consistent experience, consistent look and feel, and the power and flexibility to deliver what the customer needs. So that's it's a big chunk of work. But it is something that is very important, and we most definitely want to get to. So we do have some designs. They're probably evolved a fair bit since Data and AI, or the Analytics University that you're talking about, Ryan.
Yep.
I'm sure they've evolved, but that's a topic I've had a couple of meetings even just in the past couple of months on that topic.
My man Kwame is here in the chat, and he has a couple questions kind of along this topic. So really, I mean, one would be, I guess I'm going to summarize them as follows. You know, the ability to share content within Cognos. Say I develop a custom visualization that I want to make available to other Cognos customers. I know that you have the accelerator catalog, which is a really good first start. But are there any plans to expand that to allow us to maybe directly from within Cognos post something to a catalog that other customers could access? And then the second part of that question is just sharing content from Cognos in general. You know, when I go to an article in the New York Times, I'm most likely to see that the visualization was generated with Tableau Public. Has there been any thought of creating a licensing structure that would allow us to share things with, with the public in an unlicensed way?
So great questions. Yeah. So there's a lot there. Let me see if I can, start at the beginning, and please correct me if I miss anything.
Sure.
So the first topic was around the accelerated catalog and sharing of content like that. So we do have plans to really, we're actually building up a team around that area, because we see a great opportunity, not just for Cognos and planning, but also for the broader data and AI community. If you go there today, there is, it's largely Cognos and planning content today, but it certainly provides an opportunity for the rest of the portfolio to leverage that. So we are building up a team around kind of taking that to the next level. To be honest, I don't know what the plan is going to be as far as changing the model to a more published directly from Cognos to the accelerator catalog. I think that's remains to be seen. But we are definitely looking at the accelerator catalog as a great opportunity to be able to share assets and do exactly what it says: accelerate people's experience by showing them relevant samples that they can use as a starting point, or relevant samples to be able to demonstrate the art of the possible, which is really what we want. The next item around Tableau Public and having a public forum like that, it is something we've talked about. We've had a lot of discussions about it, and I think it is probably something that we're going to get to, where you would have at least some degree of capability where you can do something like upload a file, build some visualizations and share it, and then have an easy path to if you want to do more, then okay, then you need to tell us who you are and this type of thing. So we've had a lot of discussions, and there is a lot of interest in doing something like that. I don't have a timeline I can share today, but something I would say is that we do and have had for many years kind of a licensing model that would allow you to do that. So if you were a customer who wanted to you wanted to have something where you don't need to worry about the number of users, and maybe you don't need to worry about security, you could license an environment versus on a per user basis. So that is something for for an organization who wanted to just send out visualizations, or just have just anybody. I know in Canada here, I think one of the government agencies have a model like that, where they just want everyone everyone in Canada to have access to this dashboard about, I can't remember whether it's elections or Elections Canada or Health Canada or something like that. But they do have something like that, where they just want it to be completely public, completely wide open, and anyone who's interested can come and see it. So I guess all that to say that yes, we are looking at what our options would be for something similar to Tableau Public, but we also today have an option if an organization wanted to do something like that. There is an opportunity to do that.
Great. Okay. Let me just see if we've got any others. Let's see. All right. So I think last question we're going to ask here, and then we'll wrap up. And I want to thank you for your time today. Is related to kind of the biggest topic, at least the one I get asked the most about what is happening with, and that is, just generally speaking, what are the plans around reporting? So we've seen a lot of really cool features, AI related features that are coming, that I'm very excited about. Are those going to integrate into reporting, where if I'm in reporting, I'll be able to use the AI features as well? And just generally speaking, what are the plans for reporting?
Another great question. So, the short answer is we need to, we need to modernize the reporting experience that we have today. I think, reporting has been an area where we've really been a market leader in for some time now for the capabilities that we provide in reporting. And honestly, I think, if you look back 3, 4, 5 years ago, it was really, the pendulum was really shifting towards self-service, and it was about dashboards. And the focus really shifted away from reporting. We're starting to see things come back, and even some of our competitors are now, really kind of doubling down on their investment and building out their, some kind of a reporting capability. So, it's most definitely a core strength of ours, and we recognize how valuable it is to our platform and to our customers. So, what we need to do is we need to modernize the experience that we have today. So that's, it's easier said than done. But we do have a work stream looking at what we need to do. The prompting topic we touched on a minute ago was part of it. But just modernizing the whole authoring experience, make it easier to use, but not take away any of the capability that our customer base has come to rely on over the years. As far as the AI capabilities, we definitely do want to expose those AI capabilities that make sense in that authoring experience as well as in the consumption experience. We haven't honestly, we haven't done some of that today because partially because you don't want to muddy the line between when should I be using a dashboard versus when should I be using a report. I think the line is reasonably clear today. So we have to be cognizant of that. But also, there's some, coming back to the modernization thing, there's some technology, updates we need to make to reporting just to make it easier to build in those some of those AI capabilities. So I guess all that to say, lots to come, in reporting, because we certainly, recognize its value and how much our users depend on it. We just need to, modernize it, make it consistent with the rest of the product, and then build those AI capabilities in there.
Yeah, great. Awesome, Chris. Well, hey, I want to thank you for your time today. I think this was really enlightening. I know I saw a lot of cool things. I'm really excited to see when these start to come into the product over the 11.2 release stream. So thank you for your time today, and we really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. All right. So with that said, we're going to bring today's presentation to a close. So I want to thank you all for attending. This was a really great session. I want to thank IBM for being willing to do this with us. Again, things to keep in mind. If you want to carry any of these conversations further, reach out to us at PMsquare. We can help you navigate these topics as Cognos continues to evolve. We're a great partner to help you evolve alongside it. That's a big part of what we do. We can provide training, overall direction, and just help you figure out what to do with all these new capabilities that are coming to the platform. Be sure to check out our upcoming Migrating Cognos to Amazon Web Services live stream. Check out the Cogbox, download it, it's free. And make sure to click like and subscribe to this channel. I want you all to hit that like button right now. Help us get the word out about what we're doing on the PMsquare channel to help advance the Cognos community. And with that said, I'm going to sign off. Again, this is Ryan Dolley, Vice President of Technology with PMsquare. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks on that Amazon Web Services live stream. Until then, stay safe and take care.